So what is CirrusPrint? Basically, it's a document spool and transfer system, emphasis on documents. And it's a client-server product. The key features include a server component that's installed and configured to support various devices in remote locations. In those remote locations, we have a lightweight client that gets installed. That client maintains an upstream internet connection up to the server, so you don't need a VPN or port forwarding or any special configuration like that. The server can receive documents several ways. It can monitor paths and ports. It can monitor email addresses, and it also has an API. And then it can route documents out to various devices. We use the term devices pretty liberally. We can support printers and file output and even program output. So we can run a program out at the remote site. It has built-in conversion capability so that if you send it, for example, an email, we can turn that PDF file into the various print formats needed by an application printer, whether that's PCL or PostScript or even exotic things like ZPL. It also supports pass-through printing, which is important when you have content in that print data that needs to be unmodified. Examples would be tray and duplex and bin control that might be embedded into a PCL print stream like UnForm would produce. Also, it's very important for things like check printing, where you need precise printing with absolute accuracy and no scaling. You can't do that with PDF printing, but you can do that with PostScript or PCL pass-through printing. And then one of the features of CirrusPrint is compression. We go beyond just standard compression techniques like zlib and actually use object compression. What that means is if you've got a suite of documents, let's say you're printing 100,000 documents all with the same logo, we only transfer the logo once and it's pulled out of all the other documents that use that same image. And then finally, we support fault tolerance. The client will auto reconnect if it loses connection to the server. And the server is spooling documents, so there's never a document loss, in other words. UnForm has built-in features to work with CirrusPrint. Any version of UnForm that can output to a TCP device can talk to a CirrusPrint port input source. And likewise, UnForm can produce files and drop them into a folder. And that folder can be something that CirrusPrint picks up and transmits the document. Now that works very well when UnForm and CirrusPrint are on the same machine. But starting at version 10, and then we also backported this to a release 9.0.36 that was released just a week or two ago. We added support that utilizes the CirrusPrint API, where you can set up an output device for UnForm. In that structure, you see the CP colon and then the location and device that you want it to go to. And also the deliver command has been updated so that it supports a CirrusPrint target. So let me demonstrate both those right now. I'll use the UnForm design tool with a simple sample document here. And by the way, I've got CirrusPrint on my local PC, and I've got two output destinations that have been configured. One is a printer. I've got that paused right now. Another is a folder from my desktop. Now our CirrusPrint server that I'm talking to here knows that my location is Allen PC, and in this case I've got a device ID called CP files. That's going to be what I'm going to deliver to when I run this job. So here's our CP files directory. Let me just go ahead and run this preview. That'll run the deliver command, and here comes our file right there. So there's our file delivered to the desktop. Another option here is, let me comment this out so we don't get two things at once. I will do a test print. So this simulates what would happen from your application printing, where the client has a -O option that tells it what device to print to. In this case, our device is CP:, my location ID, my home printer device ID, and then we've got an optional title that we can apply as a fourth parameter to that output device. Let me go ahead and run that. So that ran a test print, and it sent it to my printer here at my house. And by the way, I am like everybody else these days. I'm working at home. I live in the country, which is good for views, but not so good for internet speed. I'm just on a plain old DSL line out here, and I'm able to maintain pretty good performance. That's a quick look at how UnForm can print. Again, two ways: the deliver command and the output device spec for CirrusPrint. Now, another feature that we support is emailing to print. So CirrusPrint can monitor a dedicated mailbox using IMAP. When mail arrives there, we pick out the attachments, and then we send them on to a particular device based on what we see in the email. It can be special tags in the subject or body. More commonly, it's just a specific to address or carbon copy address that specifies a location ID, a dot, and a device ID. We support whitelists so that you can avoid spam hitting your printers. And then important here, any printer is supported. You don't need a printer with email functionality. We're not using some print vendor's data center for emailing a printer that's been configured and set up with an account. This is a lot easier and a lot more private because you're using your own email addresses. And also we support not just a printer that has a built-in mail client, but actually any printer, and that's because we have that lightweight client out at the remote location that's simply dropping files into the local spool queue. Another thing is we're working on a feature upgrade to CirrusPrint right now, hope to have it out sometime this month, and we're going to add a built-in SMTP server. That'll enable us to knock out two of the three legs that a document goes through when you've got an emailing to your mail server, and then we pick up through IMAP, download it into CirrusPrint, and then send it onto the printer. Instead, we go straight to the CirrusPrint server. So that'll improve performance. So let me pull up an email here. Actually, let me show you real quickly. No, let me do the email first. That'll be easier. So I'm going to send an email to my LNPC CP files address. Test subject. I'll attach a PDF file here. Go ahead and send that. So that has gone up to our mail server. The CirrusPrint server that's out in the cloud is picking that mail up, and it's going to be routed out to the local client here. Oh, I forget which one I sent it to. Was it the printer or was it the desktop file location? Okay, it was the desktop file location. So this went from my email out to the CirrusPrint server and down to my desktop. Now let's take a quick look at how that was set up. One important thing is that one email mailbox supports any number of devices, and the way we do that is through aliases or mail groups. This is an example of an alias that we have configured on our mail server. allenpc.homeptr is an address, but it actually drops its inbound mail into this printers@synergetic-data.com mailbox. And over on our CirrusPrint server, we have the printer's mailbox is what we are actually monitoring. So any number of aliases or print mail groups can drop files into this mailbox. They all get picked up by CirrusPrint, and we determine where to send it to, which output device, based on the to address here. Now, a third possibility, if you have an ERP application that displays PDF files for you, we have the Chrome web extension or SDSI web extension that works in Chrome. And also now, Microsoft Edge, their newest version, their newest version that you have to go and download manually right now, but will be coming in their regular updates probably this summer. That supports the same extensions as Chrome does. And so we've got that available here. The Chrome web extension is something that you configure to talk to a CirrusPrint server. It logs in the same way as a location client would. You can also tell it to present PDFs from any particular domain in a custom PDF viewer, and that viewer offers printing through the CirrusPrint server. So here's my web extension. By the way, this is Edge here. I've got that configured to connect up to the CirrusPrint demo server, same one that my local client is talking to. And I've got a couple of examples here. This is a site, the Intuit demo site. I'm going to just show you real quick. If I run the QuickBooks test drive, I'm not a robot. QuickBooks Online is one of those types of accounting packages that will display documents or reports in PDF format. I've got my PDF selected here and say print. That'll actually build me a PDF. Now this is our web extension PDF viewer. Notice I've got my CP button up here. This is how I send this output now to not just any of my printers. Okay, unlike printing locally, every device that's in my company is available to me to print. I'll go ahead and send this to our Talon printer. And there it is. So that's the web extension. Now that extension can also be used even in UnForm. So here I'm talking to an UnForm server, looking at a PDF document that's in our archive. Same option here. I can print to any of the output devices in my company. So there's that printed out to my desktop printer here, my desktop location. So to set up CirrusPrint, you go through a quick initial configuration just to get it going and get the sense of how it works. Once you've installed it, you go ahead and create a company. CirrusPrint, a server is multi-tenant or multi-company, and we do have a number of companies that operate this as a cloud service for their customers. So they take advantage of the multi-company. Now within a company, you can create any number of locations, but you'll start off with one Once you've set up that location, go ahead and install the client out at a location. And by the way, this is what the client looks like. It's just a little Windows program, or it also runs on Linux as a command line tool. And you would be configuring the client to talk to your CirrusPrint server with login information. Now, you generally will probably have to open up a port on the firewall. It is just one port that you have to worry about because the client only needs one. It's talking over an HTTPS connection to the CirrusPrint server. We include a self-signed certificate, but you can configure a public certificate if you get one. And the client can run either as a desktop application or as a service. And that kind of depends on its purpose out at that location. If you want to be able to, say, pop up PDFs as they get printed on the user's desktop, then it needs to be run as an application for that user. But if you want it to be something that services printers, no matter whether someone's logged in or not, then you want to install the client as a service. Again, the location client, it runs on Windows and Linux. Any number of devices can be supported out at that location, so that would include any printers at that location. And also you can set up file outputs or even command lines to run. We actually have customers who are using CirrusPrint to run an UnForm client command line to have CirrusPrint deliver documents right into an UnForm server. The CirrusPrint client is very low overhead. It's a very lightweight program. At our office, we use it when we're there, of course. We have a little tiny Windows 10 device we bought on Amazon for $150, and it runs the CirrusPrint server or client for us there, and it runs fine. Again, no VPN is needed because we're doing an upstream HTTPS connection. But if you do have a VPN, that's no problem. That's just a network layer. It'll work over that just fine. Actually, let's flip over to our administration here to show you that quick setup here. Okay, so again, first of all, we add a company. So here's our one company out at our demo cloud site here. That company has locations. We have different types of locations, actually. There's location clients, which run this system client here. And then there's also browser locations, which we're not covering today, but there is a web browser interface that allows users to receive documents within a web browser, either on their desktops or on a mobile device. So let's take a look at this. Allen PC is the one that I'm working from. It's got a password. Here's the login to it. This is the distinguishing element here. It's a location client as opposed to a browser. For deployment purposes, you can, if you've got email set up for this user or this location, you can send out a deployment email that'll set up their client for them automatically. And then each location can have any number of output devices. So you can see, here's my home printer output device. Here's where I tell it what types of output formats that it supports, so that if, say, we're sending output from UnForm and PCL5, I know to pass that straight through to the printer without trying to massage it or convert it in any way. And then here's the CP files output device. Notice it's a file type. And here's what those files are going to be named. And we have a pretty rich naming convention with substitution tags. You can see it's going to my desktop, then a folder called CP files. And then when we name the file, it's going to have the base name, a sequencer, and the original file extension. So that's how we get these names defined. So the other options here, command line, where you can have CirrusPrint run a command line out of the remote client with the file that it just delivered as one of the command line arguments. There's a viewer option that'll basically open up whatever document it just delivered automatically. Just a reminder, you don't run CirrusPrint, the system client, as a service. If you want to do that, make sure it's running as a desktop application. And then last, we can actually open a network printer directly from the client as opposed to pushing it into the spool queue there at the remote location. One last thing is we can push PDFs through a local print driver out at the remote location. That was something I didn't point out. When we're looking at a printer, one of the options here is remote print driver. If I have that checked and a PDF goes out to that location, we will actually use the local print driver to print to the printer. Do that so that we can support things like Zebra or exotic printers, or also the low-end printers like GDI printers and so forth. Once you've got your output devices set up, then you determine how you're going to get things to those output devices. And if CirrusPrint is installed in the same network where your application is producing the output, then you can set up printers that just simply go to ports. So CirrusPrint just looks like a network printer in that case, or a number of network printers. Another option is to have paths that are being monitored on the CirrusPrint server. Anything that can drop files into those paths, they'll get picked up and routed out to the appropriate output device based on the path that it picked it up from. And then you've got the email sources, as we demonstrated earlier. One single dedicated mailbox. We access it through IMAP, and you send things to it with specific information in the to address or subject tags, or whatever technique works, but you basically tell it the location and device IDs that you want to send the attachments to. Recap, if UnForm is an input source, we have two ways to send things into CirrusPrint. Both use the API as opposed to ports or paths. The deliver command supports a CirrusPrint target, built into UnForm 10, available at 9036. So we got deliver command and also this special syntax for an output device. When you do set up UnForm as an input source for CirrusPrint, you have to configure 3 items in the deliver INI file. You got to tell it where the CirrusPrint server is. You've got to give it a location login, both the location ID at company and then a password. And by the way, you can store your passwords, your passwords, if you just do it in the file, they have to be in plain text, but there's also a feature in UnForm where you can set up passwords in encrypted storage. That's available off of the admin menu in the browser interface, and then you can reference a password by its name. To summarize, CirrusPrint simplifies remote printing and file delivery within an enterprise environment. You can go from cloud ERP to remote offices. You can go from cloud ERP or remote offices to remote workers. You can print basically anywhere to anywhere. We just need a network path, a way to connect a system client up to a CirrusPrint server and a way for CirrusPrint to receive documents. Fast, we have our own high levels of compression, fault tolerant, clients auto reconnect. You use your own mail accounts if you're using emailing for delivery, so you're not going through a third-party data center. And also we can use existing hardware. Your printers don't have to be brand new email-capable printers, and CirrusPrint can run on existing computers. Very often it's installed right where an UnForm server is, same machine. And the client runs on any Windows PC, or I should say any Windows PC 7 or 2008 or higher, and Linux. And the way we license CirrusPrint is by the number of output devices. Devices include the printers that you define, and the file output targets and program outputs. Basically anything that is an output device in your configuration, with the exception of the auto send devices. Each location gets a free auto send device with a fixed input path and a fixed output location. And there's also an AWS Marketplace alternative available. That's priced by the hour out on the Amazon Web Services. So John, do you want to jump in here?
Real quickly, as Alan said, this is a SaaS solution. Can be purchased to run on a monthly or an annual subscription. For those people that are currently using our products, either direct customers or through our reseller channels, you can source CirrusPrint either directly through us or as a partner. If you have more questions, you can contact either. We have established some special pricing for people that currently have UnForm installed that want to add CirrusPrint solutions to their environment. And there's also some special pricing right now for those potential new customers. And you can either contact sales at or your partner for details. And our hope is that it'll leave some of the burden of trying to deal with the having to work from home or remote environment where maybe you haven't budgeted for additional software. This is something that can benefit you to help you out through these times. And we have hundreds of customers that are already using this product. It has been in play for a couple of years, and we would love to help you in any way we can, even to the extent of a demonstration copy. So if you just have more questions about what's required to implement it. We do have one question in the chat. Actually, we have a couple. So we'll go ahead and read those, and now and I'll let you know unless you're seeing them as well. Jill Fleming asked the question of UnForm server on AIX operating system passing printing to MS Windows CirrusPrint server ? Well,
that would work fine. CirrusPrint is a network capable product, and especially if they're on the same network, you can open up printing ports or inbound source ports in CirrusPrint, and to the AIX machine it'll look just like a network printer, and in fact your UnForm output can just use that -O TCP option if you want. Or if you have get the 9036 version of UnForm, then you'd be able to to utilize that CP colon format for the output device.
Okay, we have another question from Dean Northam. Can you force output to a standard PCL printer to convert to PDF at the user's end?
If you install a product called Ghost PCL, which is from the same people that make Ghost Script, then yes, the CirrusPrint server can convert PCL to PDF on its way out to the remote site.
Okay, any other questions? Right now I'm not seeing anybody else other than the question from Dean and Jill both said thank you. So I'm assuming they got the answer they were looking for. We still have some time to, if there are others that would like to ask a question, please do so. Okay, all's being quiet, so I'm guessing nobody has any other questions at this point. Anything that you would like to add, Alan, before we close the call?
No, I didn't think of anything else as I was giving the presentation.
Okay.
Guess just if anybody would like to get some hands-on with it, more than happy to work with them, setting up a demo copy on their machines and helping them get that first device set up.
Yeah, probably failed to mention this earlier. Anybody that wants to evaluate the product, it can be easily downloaded and installed. We do provide free technical support to anybody that's interested, so they can actually see it in action and try it before you buy it. So we would be more than happy to do that. Just reaching out to anybody, our company directly, sales at Synergetic-Data, to request a demo copy, or if you have a known sales rep or a partner, or even if you're working with a partner, we can help you as well. Thanks again to all, and we'll go ahead and close the meeting at this time.